It's the Don McKay Show here on Radio on Fire. Thank you for joining me. Time is winding down for the election. We're going to figure out who is going to be the next mayor of Baltimore City. We are just under 2 weeks away from this. Ballots were mailed out late. Here's the thing that confuses me. How are ballots mailed out late that the election has already been pushed back and were already printed? How did they go out late? The election was pushed back from April the 28th to June the 2nd, and they still went out late. Regardless of that, that is where we are. Ballots have been mailed out, and hopefully you have yours for the people that are going to be voting by mail. And a candidate who made a lot of noise here in Baltimore for mayor. I've had a chance to interview him on a few occasions, and you've seen him at town halls and probably in your community talking about his campaign. Rikki Vaughn recently suspended his campaign and endorsed Thiru Vignarajah, who's also been to the show. And there was a lot of controversy about this decision for Rikki Vaughn to endorse Thiru Vignarajah. And I wanted to take some time to talk to him and find out why he decided to make this decision and address some critics and get his thoughts on a number of things. So let's get into my interview with Rikki Vaughn.
Good evening, good sir.
How you doing, sir?
I am super fantastic. How about yourself?
Wonderful. I see you on the move.
My apologies.
Oh, no problem. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's all good. I am on the line with Rikki Vaughn. What made you believe in the vision of Thiru Vignarajah over any of your former competitors? You are running for mayor up until recently, and you have since endorsed Mr. Vignarajah. What is it about his campaign and his message that brought you there?
Well, and honest question, and I appreciate it. You know, let me just say this first. It was many other candidates, and it still is many other candidates I have a ton of respect for. I have a ton of love for. I always put two names out there right off the bat, which is Carmichael Stokey, who I call, a big brother. I have a lot of respect for the work that he's done in the communities, in the streets. Yolanda Pulley is another, as well as some others. I have a good relationship with Sheila Dixon. The difference of the other candidates and versus why I chose Thiru was, you don't have to always align with everything, right? I always say politics is like a relationship, it's like a marriage. You're going to agree with some and you're going to disagree with some. And even as of today, I just left a press conference with Thiru, asking some tough questions. When it talks about, do I believe officers should be armed in schools? I support it. I say yes. He says no. The spy plane, he supports it. I don't support it. So, I may not be in alignment with everything that, his views and his platform, but it was just enough to cross over to say, you know what, I don't have to agree with everything, but I do like his stance on certain issues and certain concerns around the city. But on top of that, the one biggest that I like, and I won't per se throw no names out there, but he was the only candidate that was okay with me putting him on blast. If I felt as though if I felt as though promises was not kept, and if I felt as though we were not going to be represented in the African American community fairly, he knows my positions on youth initiatives, homelessness. He knows my position on bringing a youth mayor to City Hall. So, but he was the only candidate who, when I talked to everyone, because let it be clear, I spoke to everyone with the exception of the current mayor, Jack Young. And that's because his schedule wouldn't allow because of the pandemic and so on. And I respect that. I get that. But he was the only one who was like, put me on blast. Because I told folks, my loyalty is not to the mayor. My loyalty is to the taxpayers. And he was one of the few candidates that was okay with that.
Yeah, that's understandable. And why is it, do you think, that the criticism has been so intense as far as you and your endorsement of Thiru Vignarajah?
So I'm gonna say this, and this of course isn't script. Baltimore, unfortunately, we're set in our mind. We're set in our ways, right? We have in Baltimore what they call the Black agenda. It's kind of an unofficial, some folks know about it, some folks may not. It's really, the Black agenda was created years ago, decades ago. It was about if Baltimore had, and back then we were not the majority. We were a minority that was creeping up, right? So it was created to say we need to put Blacks in office, in power, and keep the city Black. For those that don't understand how it works, typically, if you have a Black mayor, or just like the parties, right? If the majority of the city is Democrats, then we're considered a Democratic city. So a lot of my supporters felt as though, or was upset that I endorsed someone of not African American ethnicity or background. And I told folks this, and I'm going to say it very clearly. I've been on your show before. I don't hold no punches. I say what I say. I've always said that folks that look like you and I are not always for you and I. And I would never vote for someone just because of the color of their skin. I'm voting for folks. You can be of whatever background, whatever ethnicity, whatever. But if you are for the betterment and the empowerment of the Blacks and the city as a whole, then I'll support you. But I'm not supporting or casting a vote just for someone that looks like you and me, because unfortunately, let's be real about this. We've had Black leadership throughout Baltimore for decades. And we still are talking about 17,000 vacant homes in 2020 when we were talking about 17,000 vacant homes in 2010. So air conditions, our schools that don't have heating and air. The same 60 schools that didn't have heat and air in the beginning of 2014 are the same 61 now schools that don't have heat and air in 2020. So my endorsement and my support was not based off skin color. It was based off of new leadership, a new vision, new direction, and holding folks accountable. I told Thiru, as I told other mayoral candidates, I don't owe you any loyalty. And that offended some of them. I said, because you don't pay me. And truth be told, I've already said I'll forfeit my paycheck, whether I was elected as a mayor or went on someone else's administration. My check would actually go back to youth initiatives and homelessness. They're the two entities, or the two agencies within Baltimore I said that I wanted to really support, because I didn't think it got enough funding that it deserved.
Is that something that you would do now?
Yes, I've actually publicly said that as well. It's no secret. A lot of people say you made a backdoor deal. I didn't make any backdoor deal. If I made a backdoor deal, let me just clear up the air. A backdoor deal is when you don't publicly come out and you put all the cards on the table.
Right.
Now,
that's true.
Whether folks believe I did that or I didn't do that, right? I came out and said I had a conversation with Sheila Dixon, with Stokey, with TJ, with all the mayoral candidates, including Thiru. I had a conversation with them because one thing about Rikki Vaughn is that I've always campaigned and advocated for the best for Baltimore. And we know right now we're in a tight situation to where we are going to split the vote. We need to be real about that. So, and also, if I was trying to make a backdoor deal, I wouldn't publicly suspend my campaign, giving my supporters an option to vote for whomever they want. And if you look, I've never asked any of my supporters to vote for Thiru. So that's another thing that people don't even follow. I said, follow your conscience. But I wanted to make sure that if backdoor deals for those that are watching, a backdoor deal is if I'm behind the scenes working with Thiru and I keep my name out there as far as he's running and all that, and folks vote for me and I'm not even putting my all into the campaign. The conversation that was made was I would join if he's fortunate enough and privileged enough to become the next mayor of Baltimore, I will deputy mayor of economic development and community relations. And the reasoning behind that is because I believe we have to build, repair, rebuild, and replenish Baltimore through economic development. And the reason why we tackled on community relations, because the way you build economics is in the community. So it's no outside deal on that. The same amount of money I injected in my campaign from day one, I still have all my money. I haven't taken any money from Thiru or anyone else because at the end of the day, like I said, I can't be brought, but I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to continue to make sure, again, I don't agree on everything that Thiru stance and platform is based around, but respectfully, like I said, it's like a relationship. I don't have to agree, but we should be mature enough, responsible enough to sit down and have that open and heart-to-heart conversation.
I mean, some of the things that I've seen online, some folks are worried about, like you said, the vote being split. That was something that O'Malley used to his benefit in the past, and I think some people think that maybe a candidate like Mary, what is her name?
Mary Miller.
Mary Miller. I'm sorry. Could just slide in or something like that. So that some people are concerned about that. And then as you said, a lot of your stances are different from Thiru. So I think that it was surprising to some folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really, I'm gonna be direct. It really was a tough decision. It really was. It was a tough decision. But I also had to look at where we stand in Baltimore. We have a crime rate that is out of control. We all know that.
Yes.
We have neighborhoods that have been depressed, and really, let's be straight up, been targeted as far as the lack of support and resources that go to those communities.
Absolutely.
We have had, I spoke about it. I'll give you another perfect example. I campaigned off of cleaning house, right? Go in, everybody got to go. The Thiru has said that he would speak with the police committee. He would speak with other head of agencies and have that conversation. So again, that's something we don't see eye to eye on, but that shouldn't stop the conversation. And so that's what I was really trying to relate to my supporters and some of my base. Is that, guys, we have to think differently if we want to move Baltimore to that next level. We got to think outside the box. And at the end of the day, I started off my campaign back in June of last year by saying we should not don't let your history dictate your destiny.
Absolutely.
So I can't, whatever folks want to say about Sheila Dixon, about TJ, about Thiru, I'm not looking at what they've necessarily only done in the past. I'm looking at what vision and what platform do they have as far as bringing unity together in Baltimore, and also, which is important to me, are they going to allow advocates and community organizers have a seat at the table? I've said that how many times, where you have administration at them, they talk about homeless issues, but yet they walk over homeless people getting to their office. So why isn't Christine Flowers and those individuals part of those administrations? And my conversation with Thiru has been, we have to make sure that we bring community advocates to the table so they can not only have a seat at the table, but a voice at the table.
And that's important, especially going through a time where the election has been delayed. Campaigning is different than it's been in the past. A lot of people are going to be doing mail-in ballots. The ballots were mailed out late. What have been your thoughts about the way that the election is going to be conducted with this mostly mail-in ballots?
Unfortunately, I don't trust the system. I'm going to say that. A lot of people get mad when I just straight up just start talking. I don't support it. We continue to see, again, how the establishment works. Let's just put it in those terms. This pandemic, unfortunately, has created a challenge for any outside candidate. And that's why I had to put my ego aside, right? Because, stay in the race and so on and so on. But as an outside candidate, we've made the most progress at forums. When I was able to interact with individuals, when I was able to, after the forum, after the debate, go down in the audience and have those conversations.
Yeah.
With this being in place, unless you have really been out there, and I don't mean as an advocate in the community, because I've been out there for decades, but if I haven't really been out there for decades, really positioning to run for an office, I don't have the 25,000 followers on Instagram and all of that. So it's made it very challenging for an outside candidate who, again, when I feed the homeless, when we have the Feed the Homeless crab feast every year at Drew Hill Park or Patterson Park, it's not saying Rikki Vaughn feeding the homeless. It was just the Kyle group presenting Feed the Homeless. Well, a lot of people don't know Rikki Vaughn is the CEO of the Kyle group. It's my daughter and my niece's name put together. So if you haven't really been out there advocating and putting your name on everything, you wouldn't have that strong following base, right? So it has created kind of somewhat a kind of a bad position for a lot of outside candidates. But what I tell folks all the time is, we continue to do what we do. Yesterday we were out, or over the weekend, my campaign team and I say my campaign team, but campaign and my staff from my restaurants were out there, doing a 2020 graduate celebration parade. We went and brought a whole bunch of gift cards and balloons and flowers for the moms and everything for graduates who, of course, unfortunately couldn't walk across stage. Well, when we did that, I didn't have on campaign shirts and literature. I did it because it was the right thing to do, out of the heart. We did earlier today, giving out masks and sanitizer and all that. Again, we did it because it's the right thing to do. So I always tell people, it's, regardless of what happens on June 2nd, right? Whether Thiru is elected as the next mayor and I join his administration as deputy mayor, or whether this miracle comes out and Rikki Vaughn, since my name is still on the ballot, get the votes to become the next mayor, win, lose, or draw, I'm still going to be out there in the public serving, right? I won't be necessarily a public servant, but I'll still be a humble servant. I'll still be out there doing exactly what's needed because, again, it's the right thing to do. And at some point, we got to stop thinking about ourselves in Baltimore and around this country and start thinking about those that we say we love. We continue to say we love folks, but yet we stab them in the backs. And that needs to change in Baltimore.
100%. The governor, has been relaxing the restrictions, and he left it up to the different jurisdictions to decide what they're going to do. And Mayor Young has decided to keep the stay-at-home order in place. What do you have to say to the people that have been, violating that? And you've seen, I'm sure, the videos of crowds of people out over the weekend. What message do you have to those citizens?
The message I would say is, and I've actually ran into some issues because we've had to turn some customers away in some of my restaurants, for not being covered up, for not practicing social distance, although we have everything marked off and so on. But I believe, unfortunately, the reason, let me go back and say this. I am actually in agreement with the mayor of not opening up, right? Still keeping the restrictions in place. I must give him some kudos and some credit for that. See, I'm not the traditional politician.
True.
I don't throw shade at anybody. We need to compliment when things are,
Agreed.
Complimented on.
Agreed.
So I actually support his decision. And it may still hurt a lot of business owners. I know even in my restaurants, it has hurt me to a certain extent, but I'm a little fortunate on that end because I can offset it by some of my other locations. Unlike some of our smaller business owners with one location, they can't. But this isn't about economy. It isn't about politics. It isn't about that dollar. It's about making sure that we are protecting our grandmoms, our moms, our kids, our neighbors, and ourselves.
We also had an opportunity to talk about Atlanta's current mayor, Miss Keisha Lance Bottoms.
I hear you had my good friend Keisha Bottoms today.
Yeah. I mean, you know, stuff. Atlanta's facing some of the same challenges that we facing up in Maryland, as far as people not respecting the stay-at-home order, and then others that not respect. As far as in Georgia, not respecting social distancing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, to add on that, not respecting our civil rights as well in other parts of Georgia.
Absolutely.
You know, as a businessman, I have restaurants in Georgia as well, and so the mayor down there, I've had some interactions with her, and as she was campaigning, and also and from a legislator or government side as well, with some of the issues that I was having in some of the areas where my stores, my restaurants are located.
In Georgia, there has been a very loud cry for justice for Ahmed Aubrey in that terrible case. I also had a chance to talk with Rikki Vaughn about this now national case. Yeah, I mean, that the situation down there is really, I don't think that a jury down there is going to convict that father and son of that murder.
I don't know. I had kind of similar feelings, but I believe it has gotten too much national attention and press, especially even from the guy over on 1600, as well as Biden and some other political individuals, as well as even those in the sports arena. So I think only because, and I'm gonna say this very respectfully, but very candid, I believe only because of the attention it has gotten this late in the game. Because a lot of people fail to forget, this didn't happen last week. This was from February.
Right.
So, because of the attention that it has gotten, and the continued publicity is getting because of the delay in it, I don't know. I think they're going to convict. And personally, I would have even gone a little further. I would have actually filed a motion to actually take it out of the county. So, we'll see. But if I need to go down there and start knocking on doors and protesting, I already told my team I'm down. I'm boots on the ground. Because we gotta, at some point, we have to take a stand. I'm hurt. I'm disappointed that it took months later for this to come to light. And what if that video wasn't leaked, right?
Right.
Will we still have, will we still be giving this the focus, the justice that it needs? And
it would have never came out. It would have never came out.
Never came out. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because like you said, if it wasn't leaked, then the nation would not know about it, because the Georgia Bureau of Investigations had the video. They had the video.
Mm-hmm.
If it, like you said, if it wasn't leaked, then people would not even know about it.
Absolutely. I don't think that we've done, and I say this as a country, as a state, and as a city, I don't think we've done as a good of a job on making sure that we educate folks on really what COVID-19 is and how it affects. Yes. So I think in that regards, that's why you see so many people that are out there without being covered up, standing next to each other, talking and laughing and hugging and all of that, stuff. And a part of it, I don't think, a great part of it is because we have not really educated folks on the seriousness of COVID-19. And unfortunately, we still have in Baltimore City, the mindset is it won't hit home, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, that mindset is not just around COVID-19, but it's around, let's just say, crime in Baltimore. No one would ever expect, me personally, I lost my brother, around the corner from where we grew up at, to gun violence. And he was just coming out of a store, wasn't part of, the dice game that was 2 blocks up or anything. And he was shot in the chest and died on the scene. And it's one of those, even back then for me, I know Baltimore might have its it's a image of being a rough city or whatever case be. But that ain't gonna happen to me. Years ago, I didn't mind walking out of my house at midnight without a second thought. Or my wife. Now I gotta make sure, keep your phone with me. Let me call you, see where you're at. Is everything okay? So it's one of those, I believe, unfortunately, is the same as when it falls into crime and all that, whereas I don't think it'll hit my home until it's too late. Right. So my advice to everyone would be is to continue to protect yourselves. And if you don't want to protect yourselves, protect your family. Because you can easily take it back home to your kids, to your nieces, to your nephews, to your grandmoms, right? So we have to make sure that, let's listen to the folks that are the experts on this. And I always tell people with respect, I don't have an MD from Johns Hopkins. So I'm going to listen to the folks that have spent tons of money and tons of years behind a book. And I'm going to go off of their opinion and their recommendations.
Absolutely. And that's great advice. And I hope that more people listen to it. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with me. And, so your time is valuable. You're a business owner, you're an advocate and a politician, and you got a lot of things going on. So I really appreciate you chopping it up with me.
I appreciate you, and thank you for making sure the messages and the words get out there, man. We always say, kudos and thank you to our first responders and to our health professionals, but kudos and thank you to the media, right? We need to give you guys shout outs for making sure that the messages out there, folks are being informed, and it's only a select few of media outlets that, don't take sides, right? You just make sure you present the questions, and you want your listeners and, to make their own decisions. And I truly appreciate you, man, because I know you be on the hustle, you be on the move. I be watching you. So I'm like, oh, there you go. So I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Let's talk again soon.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rikki Vaughn, thanks again. You've been listening to the Diamond K Show here on Radio on Fire. Of course, you miss any episodes of the show, youtube.com/DJ Diamond K, or however you are listening or hearing this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, hit the like button. I'll see you guys tomorrow.